Why do so many people in life struggle to be happy? How do they find success in life? What does that even mean? Why do we believe financial success and moral success are diametrically opposed? You might not think that consciously, but underneath, we kind of have that feeling, that belief that making money and our moral and our values aren't always one and the same thing. Uh, you can discover that a change in perspective can do what it can do to create the greatest life available for you, and how to stop chasing happiness. I love stop chasing happiness, because even when you catch it, it seems fleeting and hollow. My next guest I met because he's an expert in helping coaches make money, coaches be profitable. We met because you know me, if you've listened to the podcast, I disparage the coaching industry constantly. I love coaches, I love coaching, but the industry doesn't do it for me. And my next guest, Jos Willard, is dedicated to helping coaches make a living so that they can make a difference in people's lives. So he believes that you should make your decisions from your values, not your bank account balance. Of course, the best way that we can do that is to have a full bank account. So he helps people get profitable. He's the creator of Profit for Coaches system and the host of the Profit for Coaches podcast. He stands against the coaching industry, which is something he and I have in common, that preys on good coaches providing an escape from the bro marketing and the coaching gurus of the world. His clients get rewarded for making positive impact in the world, living from their values, and helping exactly the people they're meant to serve. He's also jumped out of airplanes. He's lived in lots of countries. He's walked 25 miles in a monsoon, and he's married to a beautiful woman named Emma, has 2 kids, Liam and Anthony, and he's incredible. And now he's on my podcast. Thank you for being here, Jos.
I'm thrilled to be here, Mark. I'm looking forward to this conversation, man.
Right. So you and I had a conversation about the coaching industry, about how to make money in the coaching industry, how to build a business and all that stuff. But then our side conversation was about your true passion, which is, coaching seems to be your vehicle right now, helping coaches, but basically helping people find a different way towards success.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that philosophy.
Well, I mean, it comes down to this concept. People will tell you, this is what's important to me in life. But what I will often say to them is, show me 2 things. Show me your account balance, your bank statement, and show me your calendar. And from those 2 things, I can tell you what's actually important in your life, because you only have so much time, and most people only have so much money. And because those are 2 of the 3 limited resources we have, time, money, and energy, when you put your time, money, and your energy, where you're putting it, that's the things that are important to you. We make our decisions based on what's really important to us. And the problem is we get so many people who will say, I believe this value is more. They'll state these aspirational values, right? But they're not actually working towards them. And it's funny, and we'll probably talk about this later, but I'll get people who will say, well, money's not everything. Like, profit's not everything. You shouldn't be focused on money. I agree. I would love for you to experience some of the things that are more important than money. But instead, you are going to work 9 to 5, plus don't forget the hour commute either way, plus the work that you bring home with you, chasing a paycheck. Because most of us, we don't get the paycheck anymore, right? You and I are old. So we used to get like this paper check that had a little square on it, or a little rectangle on it, right? And in that rectangle is a number every 2 weeks, right? And everything in your life is determined by what's inside of that box. Because that number determines what you can spend on having fun, what you can spend on the kinds of food you can eat, the places you can go, the people you can hang out with, the stuff that you own. But also, if it's not big enough, then you got to go and you got to get another job, and you got to get another check with another box, which means that
and today it's side hustles, right?
Yeah, it's the side hustle. It's, I'm gonna drive for Uber. You're putting the most valuable thing you have, which is your time. And it's the most valuable because you don't know how much of it you have, and you'll never get it back. Like, you can make more money. You can rest, you can drink an energy drink to get more energy. You will never have more time. You will never get it back. And we put all of it as a society into chasing what's in that little box so that we can build a little box around our lives and watch the idiot box in front of us and go, oh no, I'm happy. Anxiety has never been higher. Depression has never been higher. And this was before COVID.
Right.
Like,
I didn't expect you to get this controversial. I'm really glad you did. Because you jive so much with what things that I say. That's why I think you and I are kindred spirits. Because I'll say to someone, show me your to-do list, and I can tell you, I can read it like tarot cards. I know everything about you, from what you do, what you don't do, why you do it, why you don't do it. And then, I also often say, the only thing we own is our time and attention. That's it. Everything else is kind of an illusion, right?
Yep.
So you can't make more of that. So life happens now, right? So that's what we do. I actually have a quote on my wall for the last week. It's from that movie called Sense8 that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
It says there is a difference between what we work for and what we live for. And when I saw it this morning, I thought of you and how you help people in that direction.
Awesome. I like being thought of, for one thing. I watched, that was one of the last things I watched on Netflix before I unplugged and just said no more. It was a good show.
But it's just a good saying to talk about, because like, again, you talk about that paycheck and how we're old, not chasing the paycheck anymore. But I remember, I grew up kind of poor. So when I started making money, my self-worth became from my paycheck, how much money I made. My self-worth came from what kind of car I drove, what kind of clothes I wore. I always used to joke that I wear $100 and $150 ties to make up for my lack of self-confidence, which was mostly true anyway. But like that was a big thing for me. Then the pendulum moved all the way when I became a coach. It was, I'm doing this because I love people. I'm doing this because I want to make a difference in the world. The money will come. Don't worry about that. And we talked about this on your podcast. I went full swing the other way, and I went broke, right? And then I realized that if I don't put oxygen into my business, I don't get to live my values. But if I only go make money and I don't live my values, now I'm not living a life. So, how do we put that together?
It's funny. I was actually just talking. It was last night? Last call I had last night with a friend of mine who is a mortgage broker, but his family has a lot of people in, for lack of a better term, the spiritual space, as their family calls it, the woo-woo space. They've got a bunch of the coaches in that space, yoga, health, all that stuff, right? And we talked about how in that world, they don't make a ton of money, and they go after their existing clients over and over and over again, and more aggressively. And they wind up out of integrity with themselves. And we're not getting into coaching, but they wind up out of integrity with themselves. And a lot of it is because they have this resentment that they have to chase money, right? They're like, I'm helping the world. I'm doing spiritual things. I'm helping people have better lives. I shouldn't have to be getting paid. Like,
I shouldn't have to worry about marketing. I shouldn't have to worry about all the things that a business.
Well, no, I'm not even going there. They believe they're pissed off that they need money. They're like, I'm doing good things. Why is it that I don't have the life that I want, right? But they'll never say I'm struggling for money, because that is creating a reality that they don't want to live in, right? And I totally understand. I'm not making fun of them. I'm not, like, they're 10s on the woo scale, 8, 9, 10s on the woo scale. That's fine. But they believe that if they complain about money, or if they talk about a need for money, they're creating this reality where it just gets worse. And in fact, what winds up happening is they're struggling to live their values, and they're pissed off because they can't live their values without money. And so they have to violate those values to go ask people for money. And it wrecks them.
Yeah. So I'll just, take me as an example. I had the pendulum swing one way, swung the pendulum the other way. I now understand the woo, the God, the law of attraction, service, all that stuff, and marketing, accounting, paying my taxes, right? And wanting to create more wealth, right? Both at the same time. I've gotten there. How do you help people figure that out?
It depends on where they're coming from. Like without getting into coaching methodologies and all that world, it's asking questions. It's saying, okay, what's really important to you? And it's okay. We'll go this way. I get people all the time, and I don't remember if we talked about. I think we may have talked about this before, but I get people all the time, and they're basically telling me, I need an example. So what's a north-south interstate near you?
95.
Right. Okay. So you'll get people telling you all the time, I have to drive my Lambo north on I-95. That's what I need to do. It's like, okay, great. But if that's what you're going to do, you don't get to get pissed off at me when you hit the Canadian border instead of LA. Because you've committed to driving that car on that path. And what that metaphor is people, I have to be a doctor. I have to be the top sales guy. I have to be a coach in this industry specifically. So they get locked in on the path and the vehicle, and then they get pissed off when they wind up in a destination that they don't want. And what people don't understand is when you
and what do you mean? And what do you mean by the destination?
So I have to be a doctor, right? Okay, so you go to medical school for 12 years.
And what you're saying is doctor, sales guy, engineer,
whatever it is, right?
Yep. That's the vehicle.
That's the vehicle, right?
Okay.
So yeah, this is the job, and becomes the identity, right? Like you said, the paycheck was the identity. Paycheck's the identity. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a coach. I'm whatever it is. That's the job. That's the vehicle. And then they insist on driving it down a certain path, right? It has to be. So I'm not just a coach, but I'm a relationship coach, or I'm a business coach, or I'm a doctor, surgery, whatever. And then they wind up realizing halfway down that they're stressed out, that the money that they've got, or they've got student loans, or whatever it is, they're in this place that sucks. And what they're told is keep driving. Just put your head down, grind, and keep driving. It'll get better. But it doesn't, because that road that you're traveling down only goes one direction, right? So when we talk about life, if you're going to travel, just to extend the metaphor, if you're going to travel, whether you're asking a travel agent or if you're using Expedia or whatever website, which one sponsors you? No. So if you're using a travel website, they ask you two questions to start with. Where are you and where are you going? They don't tell you, you can fly this airline, you can take this car, you can stay at this hotel. None of that crap comes out until they know where you're starting from and where the hell do you want to go, right? And then when do you want to get there? That's the next thing. When do you want to travel? Because if you say, I want to get from Calgary, Alberta, Canada to, I'm not going to say Los Angeles because I don't want to go to Los Angeles, to Texas, right? For some reason, I want to go get hot because, hey, maybe it's wintertime. So I want to go from Calgary to Dallas, Texas. And I want to do it in the next 3 days. Now I know I can drive. I can take an airplane. Those are probably the only, I don't think there's a train. I can fly or I can drive, right? So I've eliminated some options. Well, I can choose how much time do I want to spend traveling? Well, if I want to spend less time traveling, I'm going to take the airplane. If I want to see more along the way, I can drive. If I'm not in a hurry, I can, right? And then it's okay, what kind of car do I want to drive? Right? I can reverse engineer all the things that I need to get me to where I want to be. If I know where I'm going, if I want to get to downtown Calgary and I live in the outskirts of Calgary, actually, if I want to get to downtown Calgary from anywhere, I'm not taking a 747. They don't land downtown. They land at the airport, right? But you get so many people who insist, I got to take a plane. I got to take a 747. Dude, you're going 2 blocks. Or I got to take my Lamborghini. Dude, you live in Washington, D.C. You're trying to get to London, England. I don't care how fast you drive off the end of the dock. You're not skipping across the Atlantic to get to frickin' London, right? So bring that back to reality. If you're trying to tell me, I want to make a positive difference in the world. I want to have a family that I spend time with, where my kids love me. I love my kids. They don't have an absentee father. I want a good marriage with a partner. this is what I want. These are my values. But you insist on doing that by working 80, 100 hours a week at a job that makes, maybe it's $350,000 a year, maybe it's $500,000 a year. I don't care. I don't know. Right. But you're going to work 80 plus hours a week doing it and send your family off to, like, you send your kids off to boarding school, you send your family out for vacations and you catch up with them for a couple of days. Like, and I'm not saying that's a bad life, but I'm saying it ain't the life that you tell me that you want.
Right. So the stated values. So let's dial it back. So
Okay.
I am a doctor or I'm an engineer and I'm on
Mhm.
the road to a certain thing. And then I decide, you know what? I really want something different.
Mhm.
What are the questions that we need to ask ourselves?
Well, first of all, how did we get to where we are? Like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to go dig into.
No, but do so we want to
Yeah.
do a little retrospect. Like, what
Yep.
decisions and choices did I make that brought me to where I am today?
Yes, absolutely. And there's a quote that I love, and it's a two-part quote, and everybody knows the first part, and they stop at the end of the first part because they're either going to argue with it or they're going to accept it and they can beat themselves up with it. But I want to go still. So the first half of the quote is this. It's by Wayne Dyer. First half of the quote is, "You are where you are in life solely as a result of the choices you've made to this point." Most people stop there and either say, "That's bullshit. My mommy smacked me. My car blew up. I didn't ask for, like, all the stuff," right? And some of it's true. Like, yes, life happens to you. Okay. But don't blame that, right? Okay. The other half, stop there and go, "You're right. I make crappy choices. I have destroyed my own life. Like, I need a whip so I can just be flogging myself," right? And they do that because they just end with the blame. They either say, "I got to blame somebody else," or "I got to blame myself."
Both of them land you in victim
Yeah,
mentality.
exactly. Right. The second half is this. First, you are where you are in life solely as a result of the choices you made to this point. Second half is, you have always made the best choices you knew how to make at the time. Doesn't mean you didn't know there were better choices. As I say to people a lot, nobody who smokes thinks they're getting vitamin C out of those things, right? Nobody thinks smoking is the healthiest thing I could ever do. They know there are other choices. They don't know how to make it. They don't know how to make that choice.
They just didn't have the consciousness at that point. Everybody is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have at that moment. They couldn't have made any other decisions or choices until they could. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. And so as a coach, or you don't call yourself a coach much, but as people who do what we do, we help the people that we're talking, we help our clients learn to make those better choices, learn how to make those better choices. And then, just like a personal trainer, like if I go pick up a 60-pound dumbbell right now, I'm not lifting that thing. I'm not going to do it. My muscle, it'll tear my muscle. I don't have it. I don't have it there. I get a personal trainer and he spots me or she spots me and helps me to make those lifts. I learn the motion, right? And I start with lighter weights.
Right. But so I just want to go back with you in your our conversation. So the first thing we do is we do a little retrospect. We find out what choices, what decisions did we make to get us to where we are. We do it without blame, and we do it, we try and do it as neutral and as emotionally intelligent as possible.
Yeah, we take responsibility.
So when I have responsibility for what I did, I now have the power to start to make different choices. So now we're at the dumbbells place. All right, now we're like, okay, I know I'm not where I want to be. I know I did my best. This is where I am at. Now I want to make different choices. Now what do we do?
So now it's the question of, why do you want to make different choices? What is it that you want that's different from what you've got? Right? Because if all you do is go, I don't like where I am, I need to be somewhere else, you can go off in a million different directions. Only one of them leads to where you actually want to be. And the odds are, infinite to one, you're not going to take that path.
Generally, so since this is the Mastering Midlife podcast, generally, if we get there and we know we don't want to be where we are, but we don't know where we want to be, and we know we can't stand it, then we blow it up. Yep. Right. The conversations I have all the time is, I either have to stay in my job and acquiesce, or I have to blow it up and quit. or I have to acquiesce to my spouse and live the life of quiet desperation, or I have to go have an affair, blow it up, and leave. And whenever I say that have the conversation of, well, did we ever think about setting boundaries with your boss? Do we ever
Yep.
say of creating the job in a different way? Do we ever want to do the difficult work of having the conversations with our spouse to see if we can create the marriage differently? That's the road less traveled. That's the harder road.
Yep. That's modifying the car. Like to go back to the vehicle metaphor, when we know that we've been driving a Lamborghini and now we want to go uphill, let's ask the question, well, what does it take to be going uphill? Off-road. The typical Lamborghini is this far off the ground. You're not going to do it, right? So if I'm in my job, I feel like I can't, whatever it is. So a lot of people say, I got to blow up the Lamborghini, like you say, got to quit the job, and not just quit, like quit hard, right? Make sure I'm never coming back here again. Leave and not just talk about or modify the marriage, but blow it up, have an affair, whatever, right? Make sure we're never coming back here again, right? Or you can find out, well, what if we put a lift kit on that Lambo? Get it off the ground. So what do I need to change in my job that will allow me to do what I want here? Maybe I look for another position in the same place where it's a lateral move. Maybe I can talk to my boss and say, hey boss, can we adjust my job description? Or can we adjust how I report? Or can we look at what my KPIs are? There's lots of different, like you said, there's lots of other opportunities to modify the vehicle we're in, so that we don't have to go down this particular path. Maybe we take this exit ramp and we wind up going west all of a sudden, right? But we do it on purpose. We do it intentionally. We're not just tearing the roof off the thing just so that we can tear the roof off the thing because we don't like it anymore.
So now we really want to change everything. I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I really want to change things. Again, the blow it up, see where we land. Or now the steps to doing it emotionally intelligent, consciously. Where do we go there?
My question is usually, what do you want to see change? Right? Because it's not enough to say, I want it to change. Okay, great. You want it to change, but change for change's sake isn't going to get you anywhere. Well, it'll get you somewhere, but we have no idea where that's going to be. And you probably aren't going to like it. Like this whole concept of follow your passion, right? Okay, cool. But you know how long passion usually lasts? 5 to 7 years. You know why you have the 7-year itch in a lot of marriages? Like all that stuff, our passion as humans tends to last 5 to 7 years. We can fix that. Like we can absolutely do that in a marriage or a relationship. We can make it last longer by changing what we're passionate about in that marriage. Absolutely. I'm not saying don't use passion, but I'm saying if you solely go chase your passion.
Well, it's really interesting because I've chased my passion. I am a coach. I'm actually very successful as a coach. I'm good at what I do. I create content. I love what I do, but it's no longer new to me. So for me, I have ADD. I'm a shiny object guy. Like I need new, I need stimulating. Plus the fact that I now run a business. I run a substantial business. So part of what I do is hiring and supervising team members, right? Part of what I do is having to create, not just when I have the inspiration, but to create on a schedule because I'm running a business, right? So all of a sudden, all that shiny passion shit is waning. I still love what I do.
Absolutely.
But it's not the passion. It's no longer, painting, abstracts. It's I'm running a business. So the sexy is worn off.
Well, and it's cool to have passion. It's cool to rekindle that passion. It's cool to love what you do. What you can't do is depend on the passion to drive you.
Totally.
Because it's going to run out. And then you're going to be like, if your business or your life is at the point where it's just your passion driving you, like this is why so many businesses fail. You get so many entrepreneurs that are like, I'm doing what I'm passionate about. Well, the passion runs out and they're not profitable, right? And then it's only passion driving their business that allows them to go up to their eyeballs in debt, to damage all of their relationships, to strain all of their relationships, to put all the time. It's just passion that allows them to do that. And then when the passion runs out, they got nothing else left.
So what do you put in place instead of the passion?
Let's ask, what do you want long term? I say joy, and I think joy and happiness are two different things. You got a lot of people chasing happiness.
So coach me. Why don't you
Okay.
coach me real time?
Okay. Uh-oh. I said, uh-oh.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put you on the spot. So what do I want long term? I have joy.
Okay.
Uh, um, I want impact and
Okay.
legacy. I want impact and legacy. And I want to not be a burden to my children. So I want to fund my retirement. Right. If I can make a real contribution and an impact in the world, and I can do so and create enough wealth so that my retirement is independent and I'm not a burden to my kids. That's what I'd like. That's where I'm headed.
Okay, great.
I have joy, so I'm cool.
Cool. So what does impact mean? When you say I have to create an impact, what does that mean?
It means that because of the work I did, people's lives changed for the better.
Okay, I'm taking notes because this is what I do.
And for me, what I mean by change for the better is that they realize that they're actually free and that they can see outside the prison walls.
Okay. What do you have to see, feel, or experience to know that you've done that?
See, this turned into real coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I want to see my books being read and bought. I want to see my talks being shared and commented on that they have impacted. Right. So I get that now. And I get a lot of that now, but I want to see it in a more global, more substantive way. So how would I know? I will be a guest on Tim Ferriss's podcast. I'll be a guest on Brene Brown's podcast. You know, the gurus, the real ones will be clamoring to come on my podcast and talk to me.
Okay.
I think one of the things I said is I want to be so good that whether they're on their past podcast or not, I want to be so good that I would be great on their podcast, that Oprah would have a great time talking to me in a chair in a garden.
Okay. So that's impact.
Mm-hmm.
Legacy. That's another broad word. What does that mean to you?
Legacy for me is just a body of work and a number of people impacted that my ripple effect in the world is a net positive.
Okay. What's that number?
Let's say 1 million.
1 million people.
Because that's a stretch for me. I'm not one of those coaches who say you have to think big, because I don't think big, but let's say 1 million people.
Okay, so 1 million people positively impacted by your work. To what level? Like they had a better day today, or
no,
ultra life changing?
No, that one day they thought they were in their prison, and then after my work, they realized that they're free.
Okay, how do they let you know that, or how do you know that they've done that?
Man, I get these notes that one conversation with me, Mark, and I haven't had a drink in a year, and my family life and my work life has changed. So it's usually like just an anecdotal thing, but I get that it happened.
Okay. Do you keep those?
No, I don't. I should. I don't.
Okay. So if we're going to be counting to 1 million,
right?
How are we going to count? If we're not, I mean, 1 million notes, like if they're paper, that's a lot of paper.
No, but comments, whatever, I get DMs and things like that. All those are gone, right? Like who keeps a DM from someone who says, Mark, I ran into you here and you said something that pissed me off, but I realized 6 months later you were absolutely right and it changed everything. Like keep it, I should keep that stuff.
So are you an Apple person or are you a PC guy?
Apple.
Okay. I don't know what it is on an Apple, but on a PC, it's the Windows button and print screen.
Oh no, I totally have screen cap. Yeah.
So screen cap those things, create a file, call it your million people file, million differences. Let's come up with a name.
I'm so excited. This is so exciting. This is a very cool thing. All right, keep going.
Okay. So that's going to give us part of that legacy. Do we even need the body of work? Like, do we need to count
No,
how many
no,
books
no,
you put
no,
out?
no.
No.
That's cool.
It's a million notes from people saying, you've affected my life.
God,
And you're going
I wish this was a call. I wish this was a call-in show so we could like have caller on line 9. I'm an engineer and I'd like to do this and then have you take them through that. That would be amazing.
you asked how I do it, man. Then you said, coach me. All right. So we're coaching you. Okay. So we talked about impact. We talked about legacy. So let's go back. Okay. So, and we also need to talk about funding retirement, not being a burden to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So you started with not being a burden to your kids. You further clarified that as funding your own retirement.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to know that's done?
I don't, like, I guess there's, there's a number.
Okay. I was going to say, is there a number bank number? All right.
Yeah.
In a specific account, do you have an account set aside that this is the retirement account?
Yes.
Okay. And you know what the benchmark is?
Yes.
Okay. When do you want to be retired by? Or when do you want to have the money to have the option to be retired by?
I say 3-4 years.
Okay.
I don't plan on ever retiring, but I want that because I'm 58 years old. You never know when the hand's forced, right?
Yep. So 3 or 4?
4 years.
4 years.
62. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Have you figured out how much money you need to put in that account each month, assuming no growth?
Not a chance. No.
Okay.
I bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin last week.
So you bought
there's my Hail Mary.
There's your 1/1,000,000th of a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is our plan to get to that number in 4 years?
The plan is to increase my income this year by 40%, 30%, 40%. And then that handles a nice little chunk of it. And if I, sustaining that, I'll have it in 4 years.
Okay. So that's your target.
Actually, I'll have it less than 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. So then what's the plan to make sure that you increase your income by 30% this year?
So that's on my whiteboard, right? My practice is 100% full. So I can't take on any more one clients. So now we're working with our mutual friend, Toby, to do 2 group programs, and my practice full handles that 30 to 40% increase in revenue next year. And then the following year, it's the online presence. Like I want an online presence next year, but I don't plan on making money off of it until a year after that.
Okay. So you have a plan worked out.
Totally.
Okay. You know how you're taking each step?
I know how yes, I do for the first. Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
I have, and actually it's not because of me. I put a team in place that tells me what my, like you, that's what you do for a living is you help coaches figure that out. Right. I have my own version of you. Yep. And then I have someone else who has mapped that out for me because I couldn't figure it out for myself. Right. I'm just coaching all day. I'm just creating content. I don't have a plan for it. So I had people help me decide what to do with it all.
Perfect. So that's just walked us through several steps, right? It's do we have the plan? Do we know? And we might not, because not everybody's a planner. Like, it drives people nuts. Like, I know if I talk to people,
I'm not a planner.
Yeah. Like I'm a weird planner. Like I have, we'll go there later. But like, I'm one of those people when they say, have this crystal clear vision of where you want to go. I have to work so hard to get that thing. Like my glasses are dirty. Like that's as close as I get to clear. Like I can picture like negative emotional things, like a kid getting hit by a bus and the parent standing right there and what that person would go through, and like all that's crystal. But the idea of what does my happiest life look like? It's this sort of blurry, amorphous sort of thing, right? No. It's just how I'm wired. So not everybody is wired to be able to do that crystal clear. So if you aren't built that way, let's get you the people that can help you get there, right? So, and for some people, they can see that crystal clear vision. They have no idea how to get from here to there. Perfect. Let's get you the people or the tools you need to put that in place. So when we're talking about what's the process 1, where do you want to be? What do we need to do to make that clear so that you know that you're there? Because so many folks we'll talk about, I want this thing. Okay, great. What are your rules around that? So emotionally, when we talk about, I want to be joyful. I want to be happy. Great. What are your rules? What you need to see, feel, experience to know that you're happy.
Right.
Right. Or to know that you're having joy. And a lot of people don't know that. And so we'll go through what the rules are. And the rules so often.
Most of us, most people I meet don't have real, honest to goodness emotions. They have they have reactions and secondary emotions, but very few people are actually in the present with whatever emotion is showing up.
Yeah. Well, and because what we do is how we build that is the things that we want. And this, I got the basics of this theory from Tony Robbins like a decade ago. But the concept is that we build rules around how we're allowed and when we're allowed to feel positive things. And we build equally rules around how and where
good insight. Yeah.
we feel negative things. And most of us don't know what those rules are. We just write them without thinking about it. And most of the positive ones, if we look really deeply at it, are built around somebody else has to do something. And they have to do it without prompting, like love. Like a lot of us, to feel loved, our partner has to tell us without prompting, without me saying it first, without me doing anything for them. And when I need it, they need to say, I love you.
I love you. You're good. You did a great job. All that stuff telepathically.
But if I've done anything to prompt it, it doesn't count.
That's a good little tidbit.
Right? It's like, well, what if we could, the nice thing, we wrote the rules. So we have the ability to change the rules. We can rewrite them. What if we chose to write the rule as, I feel loved whenever I tell someone I love them?
Yeah, that's huge, right?
Now
we are, that's the truth. We are the generators of love.
Yeah.
But you can tell your brain that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now you control when you feel loved. I need to feel loved. Mark, I love you. I feel loved, right? It sounds so stupid and that can't be true. There's more to it than that. But I mean, at its core, that's kind of what it is. So the process, what do you need to see, feel, experience to know that you're where you want to be? So for legacy, we know you need a million notes saved up that say, Mark, you changed my life. You're a jackass, but you changed my life, right?
That's usually the way it goes, but yeah.
Yep. For impact, you said you need to see, and again, we can go back to the rules. Someone else has to invite you on their podcast, or be asking you to be on your podcast, right? You need to have, can I read my own handwriting? Because I wrote this really fast. Your book's bought and read. You realize that less than 10% of people that buy your books are going to read, right? Okay.
Sure.
And that your talks are being shared and commented on. All of that depends on other people. Every bit of that depends on other people.
So the success of you painted me into a corner. So my feeling success is dependent on outside events.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that how you'd like it to be?
No, nice job. Go on.
So if you were to choose a different indicator, a different measuring stick for how you're going to measure success, what would you choose?
What would I choose? Did I wake up every day, plug in, as Desmond Tutu said, was it Desmond Tutu who said, we're just light bulbs who need to be screwed into the light. If I wake up and I get screwed into the light and I create, and I do that consistently for a number of years, then I have created the impact and legacy that I want, regardless of whether it's one person or a million people. Okay.
How do you feel about forgiveness?
It's one of the links in the freedom process.
Okay. So forgiveness is important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why are you setting yourself up for an unforgivable and undoable success measurement.
Oh God. So tell me how I did that.
Did I wake up every day?
Every day. Okay. Okay. Most days. How about if I'll go most days
Sure. How are you going to measure that?
in hindsight?
Okay.
Did 4 out of 7? Did I get 4 out of 7? That's most.
Okay. So did you get 4 out of 7? What's the measurement? What did you have to do to know that you did that day?
This is excruciating, man. I'm squirming. I'm squirming here. What did I have to do? I had to do, I had to get up. I had to meditate. I had to journal, right? And then I had to create.
Okay. How are you going to measure creation?
Did something go on a page or did something go on a camera?
Okay. Are there any rules around what goes on the camera, what goes on the page?
No. That's one of the reasons I've been able to create is because I'm just happy with whatever comes out.
Okay. Cool. Then our measurement for are we successful with impact is did I create 4 out of 7 days a week?
Yeah, sure. That's great. In hindsight, did I create 4 out of 7 days
Okay.
a week?
So where's
just for everybody listening, I want you to know I am sweating here. This is like, it sounds like we're just having a conversation. He's asking some simple questions, but when I think about these actual questions and when you corner me like that, it really like it's so stressful and it's so eye-opening. So this is good.
Well, there are two kinds of stress, right? And everybody thinks of stress as a negative, but eustress, eustress, is actually how creation happens. It's how growth happens. Eustress is good stress, positive stress. It's going back to lifting the weights, right? You're putting your arm, when you do it the right way to build muscle, it's eustress. When you do too much weight and you start trying this, it's distress.
Mm-hmm.
And distress breaks. So I'm putting you under stress on purpose.
Sure.
But I want it to be I want it to be eustress, not distress, right? So for people who are scared about it, this is what happens when I talk to a coach. We're not going to give you a heart attack, I hope. Okay, so where's your scoreboard?
My scoreboard is in my head.
How good's your memory?
Not good. So I haven't written it down, which I'm actually going to do before my next appointment. When we get off this call, I'm going to write down what we came up with.
Okay, so the question then is, how are you going to keep track of your 4 out of 7? When are you going to track it? Where are you going to track it?
Oh, in the calendar.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. And then do you have a day once a week where you're going to look back? Is it Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 p.m.?
I do that with my only tens lists and everything. So,
okay,
so I track things anyway. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got your time set aside to look back and okay, perfect. So now you know how you're going to create impact, how you're going to determine that you've built.
What I love about this is if I get hit by a truck in 2 weeks, just before I ascend to whatever clouds I'm ascending to, if I can look at my list and go, hey, the last 2 weeks, I created 4 out of the 7 days. I've done it. And I wasn't a burden to my kids.
Exactly. Assuming you left enough to cover funeral expenses, that is. So we know what we're doing. We're collecting every time. You're going to be conscious when somebody sends you a note or lets you know that you've changed their life, and you're going to save that.
Yes.
Okay. Because prior to that, you're like, oh, and you're basking it, but you'd let it go.
Dude, that's game changing, by the way. I am just like the permission to do that, is so freeing and it's so exciting.
And here's the thing that's going to happen. You're never going to buy your own bullshit again.
Love it.
Because when you get that story going in your head of I'm full of crap, the imposter syndrome kicks in, you get that little gremlin on your shoulder saying, I've wasted my life to this point, right? Or I should have been doing this earlier. You can just go open that file and go, no, I changed this life. I changed this life. I helped to change this life. I helped to change it. And boom, boom, boom. And you're never like that feeling you get when you get off a call and your client has that, that transformation happen, or just that aha moment. You're like, I am awesome. Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that gets that feeling. Like,
no. I always do that. I open the doors to my office. I'm like, God, I love what I do.
I am so good at this. And I have the best clients ever. Like I get that one a lot. Like my clients are awesome. But I do that because I built my my practice to bring in just ideal clients. But anyway, sorry. But you have that feeling of I've done something amazing. You can do that for yourself when you're intentional about collecting those reminders.
Nice.
Right. So that's gonna let you know you've created a legacy every single day, and that you're still creating a like the legacy is just building. Right. It doesn't have to be 1 million people before your legacy already exists, but now you get to see it. You get to see it as it grows. Okay. You know how you're going to measure your impact, which is your creation. And I think impact and legacy are going to combine, but that's okay. This is based on your definitions, not mine. And then not being a burden to your kids, defined by being able to fund your own retirement, is we have this plan. You've pulled out, to bring the metaphor full circle, you've pulled out your roadmap now. You know where you want to go, and you see the paths to get there using the vehicle that you have, and you have a mechanic on staff, and you have, you're married to a weather guy. Right. Like you've got everything you need to help you plan the trip. And so if something comes in the way of that, let's say you can't go 30, 40% up this year on your income. So instead, how do we detour? Right. Or do we need to go, put rocket fuel in the car? What do we have to do? We can make those adjustments now because you know your path and you know where you're trying to go.
Beautiful. Now, if we can just create the home game at home for people to play in the comfort of their own living room. So thanks for doing that. I know I put you on the spot to coach me like that, but I think that was just such an illustration. Because when I'm getting coached or when you're getting coached, the people, whoever's in the room or whoever's listening can actually apply that to their own lives. So I hope you guys who are listening just found this useful, because for me it was game changing. So thank you for bringing your gifts, Jos.
Well, you're welcome. It's fun. I enjoyed it.
If people want to look, I know you basically coach coaches, but if people want a little your magic, where can they find you?
Well, there's profitforcoaches.com or joswillard.com, either one. If you're a coach, go to profitforcoaches.com. If you're not a coach or you don't want to get any of
you're a real person
on you, you're a real human. Go to joswillard.com. Yeah. Or
we'll put that in the show notes.
So. Okay, cool. And you can, if you go to profitforcoaches.com, you'll find my podcast too. And I've had so many people who aren't coaches reach out to me listening to the podcast and go, dude, I know that this is for coaches,
right?
But
you're a Mike Michalowicz certified profit first guy, fix this first guy, so your shit when it comes to business. So you're going to be useful to anybody who talks to you. It's amazing.
Hopefully.
Thank you for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it, man. I didn't know we were going to go down this road, but it's awesome.
Remember I said I was going to introduce you. I was going to tell everybody why you're here, and then I don't know where the hell we're going to go.
Absolutely.
And this coaching session not only changed me, but I hope it was useful to everybody else. So thank you again for being here.
Happy to be here.
Everybody else, you know how much I love you. You know how much I appreciate your ears on this podcast. Thank you for your precious time and attention, because that's what you own, and you shared it with us. Love yourself. Have a great rest of the day.